but like sands through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives, and we're running out of time to be able to make the changes in the areas that we need to make the changes. Tonight, we want to look at the state institutions, government institutions, and their roles. This is emerging as a critical part of how this nation can move forward, especially in the wake of the I don't want to say just concluded, because it's still ongoing, protests and efforts to create and push for change in this country. My name is Victor Muyakane. You're welcome.
Well, and of course, reminding us of the days of our lives, the beautiful program. We still continue making days for ourselves. And so we'll be taking a look at just what plays out in relation to the protest. But of importance, we take it, a notch higher as we get to engage different institutions in the country, government institutions for that matter. And we just get to seek to understand their role, having played a huge part in this progress and this conversation about the maandamano, even as we await for Nane Nane come tomorrow.
Indeed, the nation's future in focus is the topic of the discussion tonight, as we bring you not only the government officials, but also we shall be bringing the young people who have always wanted to be part of the conversation. And as is the norm right here on the People's Court, we shall involve you, our viewers watching us from across the country and beyond. Good evening and welcome. I am George Maringa. At TV47 News is the handle on X, formerly Twitter, at Muyakane.
At Linda_Alela, and I did not tell them my name, Linda Alela, also being reminded that today is on the 6th, tomorrow is the 7th, and we await Nane Nane the day after tomorrow.
Indeed, at George Maringa _ and on X, formerly Twitter, is where you can find us. We look forward to interacting with you. Our SMS line 22047 will be open. Start with your name, where you're watching us from, followed by a question, comment, or feedback regarding the program tonight. But before then, guys, the highlights. Tonight, the competition for top leadership roles within the ODM party is intensifying, with female legislators advocating for Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga's elevation to a senior party position.
We would like the party leadership to consider to give one of those positions to a woman.
Although the elections are scheduled for February 2025, the campaign for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission has already commenced. Will Djibouti withdraw its candidate? Officers from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, have apprehended Yagnesh Divani, the prime suspect in the 7.6 billion shillings Triton Oil Scandal. Divani was brought to court following an arrest warrant issued in 2009 after he failed to appear in court in connection with the 7.6 billion corruption case.
I find it not appropriate at this moment to release the accused person on bonds when he has been brought under warrant of arrest.
We thank you for choosing TV47 to inform you. Rhoda Nyamai is on sign language interpretation tonight. Let's begin with our top story, where Acting Inspector General of Police Gilbert Masengeli says the National Police Service is prepared for the Nane Nane round of anti-government protests set to happen on Thursday this week. While assuring Kenyans of heightened security, protesters have also been urged to adhere to the law even as they exercise their constitutional right. Sheila Chelangat opens our broadcast tonight with that report.
The planned Nane Nane protests have been scheduled to be held in 2 days' time. The protests seeking to have a big number of Kenyans from across the country converge in the capital, Nairobi, as their quest for good governance is furthered. And now police say they are prepared ahead of the protest Thursday and that security will be heightened across the country.
We are just talking about the normal general security. Everybody, every Kenyan, as per the law, has liberty to demonstrate, picket, and assemble as per the law. And where the privilege of the rights of one ends is where the other starts. We are all Kenyans, and we have to live by the rule of law.
In the recently held protest, there were several allegations of goon infiltration into the peaceful protests, to which Acting Inspector General Gilbert Masengeli has issued a stern warning against.
It is asked the security agencies to ensure to differentiate the real chances and those who take the opportunist of that riots and whatever, so that they cause mayhem, they cause destruction of property.
Masengeli also addressed concerns of the presence of civilian police officers in the protest witnessed in June and July that had angered several protesters.
That officer who is in civilian should carry his COFA, card of appointment, certificate of appointment, and in this regard, if asked upon, he will produce and identify himself as a police officer.
Further measures on the preparedness of the police for the protest are to be relayed, but the acting IG has assured of security for the general public and that it will not be to an extent out of the ordinary. Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
Thank you, Sheila. Business tycoon Yagnesh Devani has been arrested in connection with the 7.6 billion shillings Triton Oil Scandal that surfaced in 2008. The accused will remain in custody until the 7th of August 2024, when DPP Renson Ingonga will file fresh charges against him. And as Elizabeth Atieno now reports, Devani will face 11 counts, including fraudulent disposition of mortgaged goods and conspiracy to defraud.
Tuesday, detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC arrested businessman Yagnesh Devani, accused of the 7.6 billion Kenya shillings scandal at Triton Oil Company. Devani will remain in custody until Wednesday this week and will be arraigned in court, where he will be charged over the scandal.
Accused person Yagnesh Devani shall be remanded in custody at Remand Police Station, awaiting arraignments before this court tomorrow.
Appearing before Magistrate Thomas Nzioki, the prosecution told the court that Devani has been on the run for 16 years since the year 2009, further urging the court not to grant him bond.
I find it not appropriate at this moment to release the accused person on bonds when he has been brought under warrant of arrest.
The prosecution has been directed to prepare the fresh charges against Devani before his arraignment on the 7th of August.
Prosecution shall prepare to severe the charge against accused person in the present case and shall prefer new or fresh charge against accused person.
The 7.6 billion Kenya shillings Triton scandal surfaced on the 5th of September 2008, where Triton Petroleum Limited, owned by Devani, secured a lucrative tender to supply oil under a system designed to support local oil companies. However, the Triton Oil Company was allowed to withdraw 126 million litres of oil, which was then illegally sold, causing a severe fuel shortage in Kenya. The oil, which has been mortgaged, was released without the consent of mortgage owners. For instance, Devani, through his Triton Petroleum Company, is accused of disposing of 675.5 cubic meters of petroleum, valued at 71 million Kenya shillings, to Total Kenya Limited without the consent of Emirates National Oil Company, which was the mortgagee. Triton is also accused of disposing of 13,054.85 cubic meters, valued at 1.3 billion Kenya shillings, to Total Kenya. The 7.6 billion Kenya shillings loss was incurred by some investors and banks like KCB and Fortis Bank. Some of the financiers that have since laid claim on the 7.6 billion Kenya shillings oil are Glencore of UK, Fortis of France, and Emirates National Oil Company, which risked losing 2.5 billion Kenya shillings. Devani was charged on the 23rd of January 2024 and was freed after depositing 1 million cash bail in court. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. And an update just coming in moments ago from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Through their X handle, they say the chief suspect in the 7.6 billion Kenya shillings Triton scandal, Yagnesh Devani, arrested by EACC this morning, will spend the night at Kilimani Police Station. He was escorted to Kilimani this afternoon after processing at EACC Integrity Center Police Station. Just to get you through again, EACC says Yagnesh Devani will spend the night at Kilimani Police Station. Tonight, Azimio leader Raila Odinga's African Union Commission chairmanship bid has gained impetus after Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi met Raila's opponent and Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister Mahmoud Yusuf. The meeting at Mudavadi's railway office compared notes on the two countries' candidature for the African Union seat, with Kenya keen to engage Djibouti to stand down her bid. And as Apollo Kamau reports, Kenya is expected to launch Raila's national campaign for the AU job in a week's time.
With the deadline for the African Union Commission's top job having expired at 5 p.m. East African time.
How are you? Good. Karibu. Asante.
The government stepped up its diplomatic efforts on Tuesday, with Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi meeting with Mahmoud Yusuf, Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister and the main opponent of Azimio leader Raila Odinga, at his railways office in the hope of reaching a consensus. During the meeting, also attended by PS Foreign Affairs Dr. Korir Sing'oei, Kenya is lobbying Djibouti to stand down its Foreign Affairs Minister in favor of Odinga, a continuous engagement, with a source saying the matter is now at country level. Yusuf, who chairs the IGAD Council of Ministers, is said to have sought Kenya's support for the AUC chairmanship in a letter written by Djibouti President Ismail Omar Guelleh.
Karibuni sana.
The government is said to have made Yusuf aware that Kenya has a candidate, with PS Foreign Affairs Dr. Korir Sing'oei saying, "We told him we have a candidate, and a formidable candidate at that." Yusuf later took his campaign to his X account, posting, "I came to Nairobi, which is an important stage of my campaign, to seek advice from His Excellency President Ruto, who is the African champion for reforms and climate change." Yusuf, a seasoned diplomat who has served as Djibouti's Foreign Affairs Minister since 2005, has served in IGAD, an African Union Peace and Security Council. Odinga, a Pan-Africanist who served as AU top envoy for infrastructure, a former Prime Minister and a former minister in several portfolios, is banking on his experience to woo the continent to back his bid against Yusuf, who is targeting Francophone and Arab countries to win support. The government is expected to launch Odinga's full-scale campaign for the AU seat in a week's time to face off Djibouti, Madagascar and Mauritius, who have sponsored candidates. Somalia and Seychelles have since pulled out of the race. Kenya is expected to launch a full-scale diplomatic offensive after the expiry of Tuesday's deadline, amid behind-the-scenes engagements to convince Djibouti drop her bid in what is the country's most ambitious campaign since former CS Amina Mohamed lost her bid in 2021. Apol Kamau, TV47 in Nairobi.
Thank you, Apollo. Azimio la Umoja coalition now seems to be taking a sloppy direction, with a section of its constituent parties disagreeing on the opposition's leadership should Principal Raila Odinga clinch the AUC position next year. This has also been evidenced by Wiper Party's move to denounce its allegiance to President William Ruto's broad-based government, sending alarm regarding Azimio's future. And as Mike Kagwongo reports, drama has engulfed Odinga's ODM party after a section of women leaders stormed out of Azimio parliamentary group meeting, alleging there was a plot to sideline women in the available vacant leadership positions.
President William Ruto's decision to bring ODM party on board his broad-based government has since created a rift in the Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja coalition, with an uncertainty of its future. Former Vice President and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka is on record highlighting that Wiper MPs will reject the ODM Cabinet Secretary nominees during their vetting in the August House. During Tuesday's Azimio la Umoja Parliamentary Group meeting, Azimio la Umoja Coalition supported 2 ODM lawmakers for parliamentary leadership roles, a decision said not to have been endorsed by Wiper Party members present. According to sources from the PG meeting held in camera at the Parliament building, Wiper Party represented by Kitui County Senator Enoch Wambua and Deputy Minority Leader who doubles up as Kadhiani Member of Parliament Robert Mbowe rejected the nomination of Junet Mohamed as the Minority Leader and Millie Odhiambo as the Whip in the National Assembly. Wiper Party Secretary General Shakila Abdallah said the PG was not convened by the party leaders, and Wiper Party regarded it as a normal meeting.
The Azimio meeting first has to be called either by both leadership of the houses or by the principals. Since the last meeting which our party leader was insulted at Joff, there has never been any other Azimio meeting. If anything, as a party, for me as SG, I was not consulted on any issue to do with the leadership of the National Assembly.
But ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna refuted the allegations, emphasizing on Wiper Party's full allegiance to Azimio's decision.
Nataka nitangaze kwamba vyama vyote tanzu vya Azimio viko pamoja, vimeungana, hakuna mgogoro ndani ya muungano mzima wa Azimio. Tunazidi kufanya kazi yetu kama wale ambao ni wachache ndani ya bunge la kitaifa na bunge la Senate.
However, after the meeting, Wiper Party representatives left unceremoniously without a word. Meanwhile, Azimio la Umoja women leaders complained about the party's persistent inability to achieve the 2/3 gender quota in the Central Committee and other high-ranking committees.
We would like the party leadership to consider to give one of those positions to a woman.
The same goes for Honorable Gladys Wanga. We are not begging or asking for tokenism. We are saying she's capable. We have seen her leadership in the last parliament as the chair of finance. She did so well. She excelled.
The trouble in Paradise seems to have been fueled by ODM inclusion in government, with all Azimio la Umoja constituent parties reading from different scripts. The drama continues. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. Church leaders from various quarters have raised concerns over the Shakahola report recently presented to President William Ruto. One of the main issues is the performance of miracles in churches, with church leaders arguing that it is a spiritual issue. And as Paul Kirobi tells us, the report states in part that any person performing a miracle with the intent to harm another person will be penalized up to 5 million shillings. Take a look.
Just 1 week after President William Ruto received the Shakahola report that has a raft of recommendations following the Shakahola massacre, where more than 400 people were reported dead, some church leaders have remained divided over some sections of the report, one of the burning issues being the matter with performing miracles in churches. This has received a backlash from some church leaders who now say the document should be reviewed further, saying that performing miracles is a spiritual matter.
Kini ijulikane, sisi ni watu wa miujiza. Na Mungu wetu ni wa miujiza. Na kwa sababu tuliitwa na Mungu, ikiwa unaona muujiza, hiyo document hatuhitaki kabisa kabisa.
Zile vitu ambavyo yani zile itikadi ambazo wana abuse ama wanatumia vibaya yapo kwenye dini. Kwa hivyo wewe ukiingilia na uitoe, utakuwa sasa unachafua, unaharibu.
The Shakahola report recommends that a religious leader who, by means of any false and fraudulent representations, tricks or schemes as to healing, or fraudulently obtains any financial gain or matter benefit from any person, or induces the person to deliver money or property to the religious leader, commits an offense. This will in turn attract a fine of at least 5 million shillings.
Na tumesema ya kwamba hiyo document irudishwe kwetu. Na ijulikane ya kwamba kuna proposal tulipeleka parliament, na hiyo proposal ilisomwa mara ya kwanza. Na kwa sababu ilisomwa, ilienda wapi?
Report also states that any person who, under the guise of religion, disparages any divergent religious belief of another person and does anything that causes harm will be committing an offence. The person is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 20 years or to both. The matter is now causing a headache among religious leaders from different parts of the country. Several religious leaders are now blaming the government for remaining silent despite having the intelligence to identify which churches are conducting their business contrary to the constitution.
Na tusipopigana na ufisadi bado tutaendelea hata tukiwa na sheria nzuri vipi. Sheria haifanyi kazi. Sheria ni wino kwenye kurasa za kitabu. Sheria hufanya kazi ikiwa tutatoa hayo maandishi tuyatekeleze.
With President William Ruto having stated that the government will continue to safeguard and protect the freedom of religion and worship, it is expected that he will consider the recommendations and take steps that will not jeopardize the freedom of worship and religion in the country. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul. Residents of Mukuru Kwanjenga slums are facing significant losses after a devastating fire broke out in the early hours of Tuesday. The blaze, which began at around 1 a.m., razed homes and churches near Muhindi Mweusi supermarket.
A cloud of smoke engulfed Mukuru Kwanjenga in Nairobi following a Tuesday dawn inferno that has left 36 families homeless. When we visited the scene, we spotted traders trying to rebuild the structures that have since been burnt down to ashes, with 36 houses and 1 church burnt down.
Moto ulianza mwendo ukielekea saa 7 usiku kwa mkia leo.
Tulikuwa na mkasa jana ya moto hapa karibu na around saa 7 ya usiku. So kuna watu kadhaa, nyumba kama 36 ziliguzwa ikiwemo kanisa.
According to the residents, the Nairobi City County government has once again failed them as it took hours before the county fire brigade could arrive at the scene.
Kwamba moto ulikuwa umewazidi na tukapigia fire station lakini wamechukua muda mrefu kuja.
Sakaja, we need to have the fire extinguisher that we know it is coming late.
However, the area chief Evans Monene has blamed the local residents for illegal power connections, which he said to have caused the fires.
One of the problems causing fires in former settlements, including Mukuru Kwanjenga, is illegal power connections.
The incident comes barely a week after traders at Toy Market on Saturday left counting losses after the fire razed their wares. Mukuru Kwanjenga residents now want authorities to investigate the cause of the fire and find a permanent solution to it. Samira Mohammed, TV47.
Thank you, Samira. In response to numerous complaints regarding support for students with special needs in accessing education in Kenya, the Teachers Service Commission has presented its plans to fill the gap, noting that it is dedicated to ensuring that special needs schools are adequately staffed with qualified teachers. Ruga Eval now reports.
There have been numerous complaints regarding support for students with special needs, and in response to addressing the shortcomings, the Teachers Service Commission has introduced targeted austerity measures. The Commission has established specific staffing norms for various categories of special needs education, schools and units.
The question I need on this is if the 5,362 teachers shall be from the current pool you have in employment through TSC.
The teachers are overworked. Actually, they go beyond what they should do. And that's why we have this deployment plan. And yes, these teachers will come from the pool of our regular schools, because then these teachers are already trained, and we are encouraging them to go and take that diploma in KISE. We are working very closely with KISE.
Under the leadership of Commission Chairperson Nancy Macharia, the Commission has also announced the deployment of an additional 5,362 teachers to support students with disabilities. However, she noted that budget constraints continue to pose significant challenges.
We are doing this, Chair, because we do not have budget, as you are already aware. So if we don't do the first, and we try to get some of these teachers from the regular schools, then it means these schools will not work.
Nancy Masharia highlighted that there are 8 distinct types of disabilities, each requiring specialized attention, with the teachers expected to focus on small groups to enhance the learning experience for these students.